Hunters podcast. As some of you guys that have watched the YouTube part of it, you can see that we're a little bit differently angled and everything. We're trying something new to try to spice it up a little bit, make the podcast a little bit better. So hopefully it works out. Comment and let us know what you think, actually.
Yeah, drop a comment. We want to know if you like it or not. Again, if you're listening to on the podcast side of things, you're not going to visually see us, so jump over onto the YouTube side and see if you like what we look like.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Or not.
Or not. So, yeah, well, with that, we're trying something new, and I think it'll be fun and exciting to do a podcast this way and change it up a little bit. Tonight, I guess we'll kind of start off, Joe. I guess we'll just get into it. First of all, this is Joe.
Hi.
And I'm Eric. And we are the Struggling Hunters, and this is our hunting shack, and you're in it with us. So, to get on with the show, Joe, how's your truck coming along?
Man, I tell you, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
It's one piece at a time, as I've been telling people.
Yeah.
So for those of you that don't know, I get my truck. I blew a head gasket in, moving from Utah out to Colorado, and luckily I didn't break down on the road. Me and Eric were the last ones to actually drive it I drove it from Utah out here to Colorado, and parked it, and then it more or less died. Blew a head gasket.
Yeah.
But like I said, luckily it ran good that night. We drove it out here because I was watching the temperature. I didn't know I had a blown head gasket, but watching the temperature driving out, had no issues, and then parked it and tried getting it ready to start moving, and the head gasket was shot. So I've been working on that the last couple of months, tearing it down, and every time there's some things I'm replacing because it's a 5.4 Triton, and they're notorious for having certain issues. And so there's certain, the whole top half is going to be pretty much rebuilt by the time I get done. But this last week, one of the conflicts that I ran into, I guess you could say, was I wasn't going to get any, what do you call it, resurfacing or milling the head or whatever. I thought I was okay. I grabbed a ruler thing or a level,
one of those gauges,
and a filler gauge, and I strung it across the head and both of the heads, and I was trying to see if I can put that feeler gauge under the level, and I kept moving around, putting it in different places, and I felt pretty confident about it. The truck never got hot enough to shut itself off, so I didn't think it got too hot to do any damage, and which it didn't. But then I got to where now I'm got myself to the point where I had to clean the head really good, to prep to start putting it back together.
Right.
And I guess it was a little wire wheel on my little Dremel tool. It was just kind of lightly going around, and I could feel where the rings would hit, and I could feel a little. I couldn't tell if it was raised or lowered, and I was like, oh no, I'm fine. I kept telling myself, I made some phone calls and about how it was previously, and oh, you're probably okay, no, you don't have to worry about it. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I do. I didn't want to. And then I got to this one part of the head, and there was actually some pitting on the head, so I was like, I better go get it resurfaced, because more or less it's creating a time bomb if I just put the gasket back on, because I think the being a new gasket, everything fresh, it's gonna be good for who knows how long. So I actually just dropped the heads off today to get resurfaced. So
wow. So well, yeah, I'd rather be safe than sorry, right?
Especially on this deep into it,
yeah, because your whole motor's out of the truck.
Yeah, the bottom half is still in, but
the bottom half is okay.
Yeah, but the heads and everything, it's all out.
Yeah. Well, I saw that picture a week or two ago, and
I got radiator out, bumpers off. Yeah.
And Ford, one thing that they like to do is keep it real compact and tight, right?
Right.
Yours probably ain't too bad.
No.
What year is
2000.
2000, so it's not horrible at that year, but
right.
since then they've only gotten worse. Like, as a matter of fact, from my understanding, I don't know what year they started doing it, but if you were to try to do that in a later model Ford, you'd have to take off your whole cab.
Oh wow.
I think.
Huh.
Or at least on certain models.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you're a motorhead, you could probably tell me better. But I know certain models, you gotta like take off the whole cab and the whole thing to get the motor out. And
yeah, you're right. I've heard that.
I don't know. I feel like you'd have to do it to even get into the heads. I think. I don't know. I'm not that good of a mechanic. But speaking of that, though, I did a little mechanicing myself and did the A-arms on our Tacoma.
Okay.
And brakes, the front brakes. I probably need to look at the back brakes and see what they look like, but they're drum brakes, so.
Right.
So I didn't really feel like getting into that.
Right, a little more effort to see how those brakes look.
Yep. So I'm kind of hoping that they're okay for a little while, but I was kind of thinking about it after I did the front brakes, and I'm like, I probably should just look and see. So I'll probably do that eventually, but yeah. So I felt good about myself though, doing a little bit of mechanic work.
Good.
So yeah. No, yeah, you're tackling a big project though.
Yeah.
Luckily, you got some space to do it now.
True. Yeah. It's been kind of nice. Like I got my little shed in the backyard. I just pulled beside it and I just take everything off and put it into the shed and have it all fairly organized.
Yeah.
So that way I don't have it piled up. But
Yep.
But yeah, so that's been my conflict for the week. Pulling through that. I'm ready to be done. But.
Well, it's kind of taking you away from, because I know we kind of talked about trying to get out and do some practice with the bow, and you're like, I gotta get that pickup fixed, you know.
Yeah.
So that's hopefully everything works out here pretty soon, because I still got a lot of work. I gotta still get my bow dialed in. I don't think it's quite dialed in good.
Right. No, I want to do mine too, because I want to do some paper testing on my bow to see how my arrows are flying. And I think one of these days we probably just need to go out and just fling a bunch of arrows.
Yeah, just
get used to it.
Yep.
If the wind stops.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So if you're not from Colorado, it seems like this year, almost pretty much every time me and Joe's went out to shoot bows, we've dealt with wind. Yeah, we've had to deal with wind, fight wind in one way or another. So it's hard to make adjustments on that because you're like, I don't know if it's the wind or it's me or.
Right.
But yeah, this year in Colorado, even tonight, whenever Joe came over to do a podcast with me, we were looking out the kitchen window and I was like, man, it's blowing again. You know, the wind's blowing again. It's been almost an every night thing, it seems like, this year. And I don't know why we've had so much wind this year, but it's came in. So
yeah.
So hopefully it settles down before archery season.
Right.
Oh, you know what? And I know you told me a little something earlier, but I gotta tell you, I mean, it's not as big of a deal because I knew that I drew for my buck tag, I completely forgot about this, but I got it in the mail.
Oh, the actual physical tag.
Yeah, so I put it in my sock drawer so I didn't lose it. Hopefully I don't forget about it by October.
I put it somewhere.
Yeah. So, but speaking of that, you.
Yeah. So I actually physically got my buck tag for Utah in the mail, and it made me think twice about turning it over. It gave me like a date, like there's a little date in it that says you need to turn it in by before this date in order so you can retrieve all your points. So I don't lose like not that it was like a coveted tag, it's just a general tag, but I believe points still go into getting just a general tag, so I can still redeem those and not lose all my points.
Okay.
So but I need to turn it in because I'm in Colorado now.
Yeah, well, man, I understand your dilemma and everything, and I mean, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, and I'm like, man, that'd be so hard, because it's like your last rendezvous for a Utah buck, But then at the same time, I'm like, man, I'm really like looking forward to hunting with him.
No, and that's like, yeah, like along those lines too. Like, like me and Eric can just spend like the whole season together.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, if he can't come out with me, I'll be going out and then being, hey, this is where I was, this is what I saw, and report back to him. And then like if you go out without me, like vice versa, like I feel like we can really get into an area if we're not able to hunt together. But if we are hunting together, we can still get into an area even better.
Right.
And have a second guy, just in case, the elk presents itself a better shot for the other guy, for you instead of me.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I feel like doing a little bit of a team system there
right.
might help our chances a little bit, hopefully.
Yeah, so that's how our season's shaping up to be.
Yeah.
But I'll probably turn it in just to keep life simple. I was talking to the wife about it, and she's like, "Oh, just turn it in. You won't get so frustrated." And I'll be honest, like one of the things is wanting me to turn it in is the fact of fuel prices. Like, I mean, I hate to say it, like, but fuel prices is one of the things that's like, it's a little closer to hunt here this year, for Colorado than it is to drive back into Utah. And not that it's going to quite break the bank, but like, I don't get pissed off every time I fill the truck up to go scouting.
Yeah. Same thing. I think it kind of plays a part in, the weekend comes and you're like, well, I could stay around the house and do a bunch of honeydews, or I could spin an arm and a leg and go out,
right?
Doing something out. Just might as well stay home, though, is what I'm saying. It's cheaper. So, the gas prices they're crazy. I don't know. Everybody knows it. I mean,
right.
It's not like it's just us that are dealing with it, but yeah, it's tough to I don't know. That's the hard thing is like life. It's kind of struggles and everything is just life is gets in the way sometimes of what you really want to do, and I feel like that's like one of those things that we juggle. Having a hobby,
right, right, getting out there and spreading yourself out over what you want to do and what you need to do, and
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, the A-arms, for example, or the pickup. I mean, it was one of those things that I had to do. And I mean, I'm glad it's done and over with. And it wasn't that it was pretty painless for the most part. It was a pretty easy project, but I was, I mean, I'd rather do something else. It's summertime. I'd rather go
right.
camping or whatever, go fishing. But I had to go put A-arms. And so those are just and I'm sure everybody feels those too. But
no, yeah, I mean, yeah, we're not the only ones for sure.
Right.
But it's. Definitely something you have to consider or prioritize with.
Well, it's one of those things, like, I guess you just, like, you love something so much, like hunting, you love it so much and you want to do it as much as you can, but then you have all these other things, and I mean, that's why, like, I envy the people that are actually making a living, whether it's good or a good living or just barely making it. But I admire all those people that like make a living off of doing the hunting stuff and doing the content, because I mean, yeah, they kind of get to do like Monday through Friday of hunting content and get all that out of the way. Then when the weekend comes, they actually can do the honeydews,
right.
And so
yeah.
They're, like you were saying earlier, like being transparent. That's kind of one of those transparent situations. Like, it's like, man, that's where we're trying to get to eventually. Is like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to, maybe do content full time around hunting and then make that our,
True.
I don't know. It'd be kind of weird to not have something that you have to go to.
Right.
every.
Well, you still have to go to do something, but you don't have.
Well,
to
for
report to
somebody
someone
else, though, like doing it for
Oh,
yourself
right.
versus.
Yeah.
I mean, I see where I said that wrong, but yeah, doing it like having to go somewhere for somebody else,
Right.
so
Correct.
so they can go hunting all the time, and then you have to
Right.
be at their place of business.
Correct.
But yeah, I don't know. Is there anything? So your Utah tag. Oh, I guess one thing. So I feel kind of confident to bring it up. I was trying not to bring it up for a little while because I wanted to. I don't know. I guess I wanted to hit some of my goals. But I've been working out for a while and dieting down and everything, and I've lost close to 15 pounds or so. And man, so one struggle that I've been having, and I go through ebbs and flows where I do really good and I'm really zoned in. I'm like, I'm only eating this and I'm staying within my calories and doing all the things and I'm losing the weight. But man, like there's times where it just rings in your head to like break your diet,
Yeah.
And personally, I feel whenever I get to where I really want to go, or when I hit my weight goals and my fitness goals, I'll feel more confident saying this. But I feel like the one thing for me is whenever those cravings kick in, sometimes I think it's best to just go, you know what, I'm going to get in and get out, basically, kind of mind frame. Get in, get out. So, I get those cravings, like, I'll try to satisfy it, and then, okay, time to get back on track and do good for a while.
Right.
I've kind of done that a little bit, and it seems to keep me a little bit sane. The problem is I think we all know whether we're doing it right or we're doing it wrong. And, playing that game, you can easily go way off track.
Right.
And so I'm trying to, I'm staying on track. I feel like I'm doing pretty good. And that's the thing, too, is like, so we bought, my family and I bought ice cream this weekend. And I went ham on it, I'll be honest. I went ham on the ice cream, and I felt bad about it the whole way. But, like, every other meal around that, for the most part, has been pretty healthy. So it's kind of like, yeah, I'm doing that one bad thing, and I'm trying to, like, get it out of my system a little bit. But everything around, instead of, like, just totally going
right
bad, I'm trying to like stay on track a little bit, like, let that one thing slip and then get back into it. But
right.
I'm hoping by hunt season I'm down close to 30 pounds or so, and in better elk shape and everything, so I can handle the woods, and
right.
And I think I can get there. I just gotta stay focused and disciplined, and I've been really, really trying to keep my mindset there. But yeah, I've definitely had my ebbs and flows, and that's been one of my struggles, is just, every once in a while you just gotta let it go.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of agree with actually doing a cheat day
Right.
once a week. I think that's pretty beneficial. I mean, it is what it is. But even on those cheat days, though, one thing, and I don't know if I practice it all the time, but one thing that I try to think about or try to do is actually, even if I know that I'm going to be bad with my diet, is still trying to do some kind of active activity, do...
Right.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's like yard work or whatever, but,
Yeah.
I want to earn my meal.
Gotcha.
So I've been working on that, and like I said, I haven't really brought it up a whole lot.
Well, now that you bring it up, you can't quit.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, don't like, I guess.
I can't go the other way at all,
Right.
right? Like, I kind of put it out there that...
Now you get some satisfaction, some glory about doing what you're doing, and then you get your pat on the back and quit. Like, all right, yeah.
Yeah.
I talked about it.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna relax a little bit. Like, no.
Yeah, no, I can't quit. Yeah, and I think that was part of the reason I didn't, like, especially at first, I didn't really want to bring it up too much. I didn't want to start bragging about it, then like fall off right away or anything. But I've been doing it pretty much since the beginning of the year. But with that, even though I'll kind of let the cat out of the bag. This was kind of a one that was hard to wrap around my head. So I've been working out pretty consistently since the beginning of the year. But when I first started, for like the first 3 months or whatever, I didn't pay attention to my diet at all, right? Like, right. I just was doing the workouts, and I was like, oh, this is enough. And so this is kind of a lesson to everybody. Don't do my philosophy, because I was like, if I just work out hard and try to eat around the same amount, like, I'll be good, or whatever. I'll lose a little weight, gain muscle, or whatever. And I gained weight. I think I said that backwards, but I gained weight, and that was hard. That was hard to wrap around my head. I was like, it really messed with me whenever, because the other thing too is being accountable to your weight. So
yeah,
like I weigh myself regularly to make sure that I'm doing good or bad. Because I feel like it's easy to be like, you kind of know that you're doing bad if you don't look at the scale, but right. You try to tell yourself like, oh, it's all good, I just won't get on the scale for a few days, and now that I'm saying this, I still try to play that trick with myself. But the point is like, just keep yourself accountable and weigh yourself often, so if you're going down a bad path, right, or a good path or whatever. And it's been helping. I mean, like I said, I'm down about 15 or so, or around 15, 14, 15, something like that. So, it's been working. I'm pretty proud of it and stuff, but it's hard work. And the other thing too is whenever you're plugging along in life, and as we get older, if you happen to be around our age, which is in our mid 30s, later 30s, I guess.
30s, yep.
You start plugging along through life, and you don't realize that you're kind of slowly letting yourself go, right, in a way, right? And that was another thing that I had to struggle with, because in my 20s, I felt like if I thought about working out, I would lose a few pounds, And then, like, I get into my 30s and everything slows down, and you actually got to work for it. And anyway, so, I don't know. I think it's a good thing. I've been working really hard at it, and
good,
and going to town. So hopefully by hunt season I'll be down a full 30 pounds, if not more. Hopefully more, but I'll be okay if I've lost 30 altogether. So.
Right.
So that we kind of had a gentleman's bet, and
yeah. I thought for sure
I'm trying to win my dollar.
I'll buy you a shake.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. So, well, now in today's world, that's like $8, I think. So, right. So I guess it's an $8 bet. But yeah. So as far as that goes, I'll probably bring it up since I opened up the can of worms about working out. Now I'll kind of keep you guys updated as throughout the upcoming weeks and stuff, and see how everything's going. But yeah, with that, man, I don't know if I don't know how to bring it up, but well, let me reel it back just real quick.
Okay.
Do you want to bring anything up about working out, or
no?
You're good.
Yeah.
You've been distracted with your headers
and moving,
and that's actually something too. Like, this year has been so crazy. So one thing me and Joe have talked about, I think we've kind of brought it up on the podcast. I don't know if you know where I'm going, but
not yet.
I see, this is why we turned around, so I can look at you and see if you knew where I was going or not. One thing, like, we've kind of talked about it. I don't know if we brought it up on the podcast, but when Joe moved over here, like we thought we were gonna practically live in the woods and do the whole thing, and you know, he was gonna be Davy Crockett and I was gonna be Daniel Boone, or vice versa, and yeah, it just hasn't really worked out that way. I mean, with the move and, and
well, that's
everything.
Like one thing I was telling my wife. I was like, man, I can't wait for this year to get behind us, because like with the truck wasn't part of the plan, but moving was a part of the plan. But you don't realize how much like reset you kind of do in a way to when you move, because like forming new habits in a way and like getting in the groove. Like I don't like go to work, come home, like that's one avenue I figure out, but like like it's just time is all different too. So I can't wait till like this time next year when I ironed out the home, put all together, trucks put back together, and like, okay, now I got myself situated and we'd be out in the woods.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, that's the thing. Well, speaking of, let's see, this will drop Sunday, hopefully. But before, are you guys got plans, or?
I don't know exactly for sure yet.
I think we're gearing up to go out to that pond and hang out for the afternoon. So if you want, you're more than welcome.
We'll see if I have my heads back. I do need to make sure and take time to get stuff done, but at the same time, it's a 3-day weekend for me. So
yeah.
But yeah, anyways.
Well, yeah. So if you can make it, that'd be awesome.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna get into something a little crazy that me and Joe were talking about earlier, and it's not that we know anything about it really, or like, but it's more of we just wanted to have a little fun with the podcast and kind of start talking about it, and it'd be a great time for if you guys know anything about this to maybe throw in some comments and give us some of your opinions and thoughts. And you know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Okay. Throw in some of your opinions and thoughts, and maybe give us something more to talk about, because I think we're gonna start kind of going down these little rabbit holes every once in a while, because I know outside of the podcast we go down them, and so I'm really curious what it's gonna be like on a podcast. So I really want to go down them, and that is. There's rumblings out there in the deep world of YouTube, and of crazy things that go on in this world, and there's more than just one. But tonight we're gonna keep it kind of simple, and I've heard a little bit about it. I've never done a lot of research on it, but a little bit of rumblings about a culture, an old culture of giant human beings, right? Is that basically? So I guess the question is do you kind of believe in it?
Well, I guess it's kind of, I don't know, because like I haven't talked to anyone firsthand. I don't know that I ever will. Like you said, it's a rabbit hole in the YouTube world. That's all I've been able to go down is all. But it seems like the people that have been interviewed, things that they have personally found. Now, these are guys that are still alive today that have found stuff. They're pretty confident in what they found. So, kind of based off of them, I think it's possible. I haven't seen anything for me to believe it for sure. But I do find it very interesting.
I don't know how this is going to blend in, because we had a little bit of a technical difficulty with the camera. So we'll get back into it with the giants. So the giant human beings, how many years ago?
Well,
or do they think?
I don't know how many years ago for sure, but like one of the rabbit holes I was going down one night was talking about how there's a tribe of, it was in Utah, of Indians, Native Americans, that would talk about how this red-headed giant would come and kind of get supplies from them. and it's kind of interesting too. You know, so that this was, I think, around like the turn of the century, or like 1890, somewhere in that time frame. So it wasn't like that long ago, but still a while ago.
Huh. Yeah. So it's hard. It's hard because I've seen a little bit. Like I haven't. After this podcast or after tonight, like I'll probably like search some videos and try to like go down those rabbit holes and get a little more information. But I do know as much as this, like they've had articles in the past, especially I think in the 50s and 60s or something, newspaper articles all around the country, not just Utah.
Right.
That articles of them, quote unquote, finding giant human remains, and I don't know if that, like, I mean, I've never looked into it further than that. It just something that I heard somebody say, and that's as far as it goes. But it's real interesting, and my biggest question to, like, and this is something that I need to probably do a little more research, but why the secrecy? Like,
right.
But there's a lot of secrecy about the Egyptian pyramids too. So, or they say that, or at least, you know, some
that's
people
like
want to
another
lead you.
rabbit hole you can go down too. Have you heard of like the Grand Canyon having evidence of Egyptians?
No. But I've heard of Mexico having pyramids.
Yeah.
But there's actually I can't remember who the comedian was or what the joke. I might chop it up, but I'll try to say it the best I can. But there's a joke about that. They're like, you know, people disregard Mexicans or so much, or they don't disregard them, but they know that they work hard. They work so hard that like the Egyptian pyramids, everybody scratches their head and goes, how did they even make this? But then there's pyramids in Mexico, and everybody's like, yeah, the Mexicans did it. I just thought that was kind of a funny joke. I'm pretty sure I chopped it up, and it probably doesn't sound as good, but I'm like, man, that's a funny joke though, you know.
Right.
But I did not know that about the Grand Canyon, really.
Yeah.
But you can't go down there and look, can you?
No. I don't know. Like, this is, like I said, this rabbit hole I went down one night on YouTube. So yeah, I guess you take it for what it's worth. I haven't been able to like physically go research any of it, but yeah,
Right.
One of the, I guess, early explorers of the Grand Canyon, I guess, come across like some Egyptian artifacts, like in one of the caves.
Well, I've heard that they find a lot of pottery down there. So people must walk through there.
Right, but these are where this was found was like up, like in the cave, up in the wall somewhere. Like, wasn't just like ground floor. You could walk into it. It was,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely need to do more go down more rabbit holes like that. It's one of those things that I guess I don't want to be fooled.
Right.
So like, it's hard for
that,
me, like,
yeah. Or have your mind warped in a way that believing in something that's not.
Yeah, and you know, it's some pimply faced YouTuber, you know, that's like trying to. I don't know, like I have a little bit of issue, something that I've kind of told Joe before, and I'll say it on the podcast. Man, I hope I'm not being too like. I'm not trying to hurt, you know, be mean or anything, but what I will say is I feel like. You know, there's all these conspiracies and stuff, but nobody ever kind of questions the conspirator.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, that's my biggest problem with conspiracies is they come up and they're like, oh, you know, the government, blah blah blah, but nobody is like, well, how did you get that information? How do you're the one person in the world that knows that? Like, how do you know that? You know, and so like I don't know. I get entertained by them. I love hearing them. I love hearing what, you know. But I just have a hard time falling for them sometimes. yeah, and I guess that's about as far as I want to take that. But you know and so bringing it back to the Giants, that's the one question that I have is because that's the one thing that they right like they want to keep it quiet for some reason, right? And I'm like, well, it was thousands of years. Like what?
Well, I don't know how true it is, but I was listening to a podcast on like archaeology and stuff, and this one guy, I can't remember what it was, but it's just interesting because this guy was talking about how he was a part of some archaeological dig, and through their digging process, they unearthed some pottery that like doesn't validate what they were going in search of.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the lead archaeologist like brushed it under the table and told the dude to forget about it and go back to work.
No way.
Yeah, because it not necessarily contradicted what they were going after, or maybe it did a little bit, but it wasn't what they were focusing on. But yet it was a piece of history that was buried in the earth, or like it wasn't like it was just someone just left it there 100 years ago. Like it would throw the whole timeline off of what like they were doing.
Right. That's where bias, right? Like so whenever they're doing when they get into these kind of things, because I've actually heard this with the Egyptian pyramids and the Sphinx, right? Is that what it is? Sphinx?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Sphinx. They're saying like it's my numbers are probably off, but they're saying like it's 5,000 years old or whatever, 6,000 years old, and there's people that are like, well, there's rain erosion that's suggesting that this has been here for at least 12,000 years, and then they're like, well, that's not what the narrative of the archaeology society says it is, so we're gonna ignore your science, and so they don't even look at it, right? And I feel like that's such a problem. I feel like you got to keep your mind open to all possibilities, and we'd probably know a lot more about our history if these people did. And it's kind of a disservice though, because we teach our kids what we know of history, and then to come to find out that it's not even true, but because some archaeologist didn't, his ego got in front of fact,
right?
And would have changed what he believed. We go through false narratives, and then ourselves, and we believe this part of history that isn't true. I mean, man, we're going down some rabbit holes right now, but I mean, even this one, which is kind of crazy, but right now with like the Russia-Ukraine war, there's a lot of propaganda on both fronts, right? And, if you ask a Russian how's it going, they're like, oh, we're winning this, hand over fist. And they ask a Ukrainian, they're like, oh, we're, tearing them apart. But reeling it back to America, and it's like, how much propaganda have we spread? Like we have this idea of America and what and I'm all American. Don't get me wrong. Like I love America. I'm all about America and everything. But there's some stuff that I think we've tried to spin it toward our favor,
right?
And it probably not 100% true, but we all believe it as Americans,
right?
But if you go to another country or something, they kind of look at it in a different way. They're like, oh, you Americans got it wrong. This is what really happened,
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. It's kind of a crazy rabbit hole, but it definitely something that I think about with just what truth is. I feel like there is. Well, actually, there's kind of a saying around it. The winning country or group can paint their own narrative on how things went.
Right.
and it kind of makes you wonder, you know. So I don't know. With that said, I think that in the future we should get a little more into the Giants thing and maybe get some information and stuff. This is kind of something new. This is kind of like an add-on to just spice up the hunting podcast. So I don't know where it'll go, but you know, if it's something that works or kind of, you know, I don't know. I'm kind of having fun going down these rabbit holes. So you know, it's something that we might keep doing in the future and go from there. So
right.
With that said, do you have any closing thoughts or anything that you want to bring up yourself?
No, not necessarily.
No? Okay. Well, you want to get us out of here then?
Sure. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in, listening to us. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed some of the rabbit holes we went down this podcast. We'll have some more rabbit holes, probably similar to what we did this week. And but yeah, thanks for listening. Just like, subscribe, tell a friend, and we appreciate you when we value your time. And thanks for spending your time with us here in the Hunting Shack. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Have a good one.
See you guys.